It's Dumb Guy Live. I don't know what the fuck Murph is doing. We're looking at the ceiling, but it's Dumb Guy Live. It wouldn't be Dumb Guy Live if we're somehow on time, but like what happens in the show is very unprofessional a lot of the time. It's like Jamie and I are usually professional, except for that one time when it kept freezing on me. You guys remember that? That was weird. Oh yeah. Anyway, Murph, what's going on?
What do you mean? I'm ready for some Dumb Guy Live.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What? It's the show. Jamie, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Good to be back. And yeah, I mean, this week has been the most exciting week of wrestling, but we're gonna get into it regardless. You know, it should be a decent little show.
I like this comment. My sources have indicated that it doesn't get dumber, guyer, or liver than this.
This is true.
Dumb Guy Livites rise because dumb guys are live. I agree, Adam. Look at these dumbos. Smart guys. Smart guys. Dumb guys gang or don't bang. Mark Davis. All right. Let's not be racist here. I only look a little bit like Mark Davis. I don't look that much like Mark Davis.
You look like a very scholarly Mark Davis, which is what you are. So
I'm not going to address this. It's not for the audience to know. It's not.
He got jumped and they took half of his sunglasses.
I have to keep a barrier of professionalism and impersonality between myself and the fans. And if I don't do that, I'm gonna die probably. So that's just kind of the situation there. But yeah, we're gonna talk some freaking wrestling. There's like a lot of like semi-important stuff this past week, but nothing like blow away like, oh, you got to watch this. But there's a lot of like kind of stuff that there's a lot of stuff that we would cover for about 10 minutes and not a lot of stuff that we'd cover for like a half hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here's what we're gonna do. I think the top story this past week is not actually any like wrestling that happened. I want to get into the Destruction Tour for New Japan and just talk about all this stuff because it's a long tour. It's like 20 stops. It's like 10 plus live shows. There's a lot going on.
Any sooner.
Yeah. It's and I agree because even it was tournament season. And now, like, the N1's almost done. Obviously, the G1's been done. The Tokyo Princess Cup's done. King of Gates done. We just got the 5-star going on now, and even that was kind of quiet this last week because there was the STARDOM pay-per-view. So, anyway, let's talk about this tour. There's a lot going on this tour. I want to start by talking about the fact that it's headlined. The whole thing is headlined by Sonata defending the IWGP World Heavyweight title against Evil. Of all people, this sucks. You two, in my opinion. Jamie, do you also think it sucks?
Yeah, I also unsurprisingly, I also think it sucks. I mean, it was so much fun in the G1 that we're getting it again, but it's going to go longer and it's going to be more shenanigans. And
give me back my sumo hall. Give me back my real main events. Like, give me back my
this is sumo hall. What's going on here? Evil,
bro. And Sonata knows we can do it. What was the 2019? Japanese match of the year?
It was freaking Destruction, or no, was it King of Pro Wrestling?
It's KOPW.
Okay. Anyway, King of Pro Wrestling, Sonata versus Okada. We know Sonata can do this, but not against Evil. This match is going to be bad. I think. Like, I think there's like no way it's good.
Like the Okada Evil thing. Like after that, like Evil, that was Evil's good match, and now it's no more
because there's no chance that Evil's winning, right? It's not like you just have to. Give us a thought.
Bro, the last time I said there's no chance Evil was winning, Evil won the belt. So I'm not going to do this again. But I think
you were wrong. Well, I didn't think there was no chance of Evil winning that at that time. But I definitely thought there was no chance of Evil making it like doing as well as he did in the G1, making it to the Final Four. I didn't have that on my docket.
No,
managing to beat
Big Say is going to win the match, but it's really just the match is going to be awful.
Big Say. So yeah, they got that going on. So we got that's Destruction and Ryogoku, which is a sick name, by the way. They don't usually do Ryogoku. Well, it's weird. Like it's literally just replacing King of Pro Wrestling is Destruction and Ryogoku.
That
They would
sucks. I want the old. Give me my old.
they would
names
do
back.
Destruction in like Kobe and Hiroshima, which is always like an epic based.
They did
funny
Destruction
meme
in
to say.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah.
No, all right. Yeah, you got it. Okay, everyone. And what was another one that they would do?
Where did the
Sapporo?
chemical thing happen? Like where like they had
Fukushima?
like Fukushima. Yeah, they did Destruction in Fukushima too.
Yokohama. I'm just naming places. Chiba.
No, they usually
would do
Yokohama.
Chiba. They do Destruction in Chiba, or did I make that
No,
up?
Chiba's a B tier city.
All
They don't
right.
do big shows in
It's
Chiba.
not very nice. Sorry to all the residents of Chiba that are watching. I wouldn't call it that
It's
at
like
all.
it's like the Des Moines of Japan.
I'm gonna let that slide. I'm just gonna let that go. Okay. We got a couple super chats here. We got $1.99 from O'Shea Edwards. I assume. I guess it's just that is a picture of him. I'm a certified dumb guy. CM Daddy. I go where you go. Wow. All right. I don't really know what that has to do with what we're talking about, O'Shea, but I definitely appreciate the super chat.
O'Shea,
go
back to your silver spoon and leave us alone,
yeah,
please.
it's so fun. I don't get mad at opinions on Twitter. I think it's kind of silly when people do, but it was really funny yesterday when he tweeted. He was like, "I'm so glad AEW exists. I'm so glad it's a thing. It is not as good as WWE." And I was like,
Can you name a worse fan than a WWE/Punk fan? That's like the worst like mix of fan like known to man.
"If only we
Like-
knew someone like that."
What? No. What if it was what if there was a WWE Punk Tokyo Joshi Pro fan? Imagine that fan. Wow. That's like
There is an Impact / TJPW.
oh,
stand
I
that
know
is,
who you're
yeah.
talking about.
I think he's Welsh. I want to say anyway. We also got $2
Scottish.
Scottish. Hi there. We got a $2 super chat from Chi-Town Spurs, always a loyal viewer. Chi-Town Spurs. P stands for pirate. Nice
Let's go
eye
Bucks,
patch.
baby.
Again, I
Let's
wouldn't
go
say
Bucks.
that. You keep putting words in my mouth, and I just don't agree. I don't agree. I don't like any NFL team. To be honest.
Oh, nice.
I did.
I was talking about the Pirates.
Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't want to get into this, but now I have to. So Murph's a Steelers fan, and I'm ostensibly a Browns fan. Okay. The difference between us is I stopped supporting my team when we employed a rapist quarterback, and Murph leaned into it. So that's kind of the difference between the two of us in terms of our fandom. So
How'd they bring up the Pirates have to do with this? I don't know how that came about.
you said the Bucks, idiot. There's a difference
Yeah, the
between Bucks
Buccos.
and Pirates.
Oh, they're called the Bucks. Let's go Bucks.
You're also in Central Florida, which is where Tampa is.
I'm
Anyway,
like an hour and a half away, dude.
Darren Waller, 15 pounds and/or euros. Don't correct me, Jamie. There are rumors of Mariah May joining AEW, not rumors. If it happens, how do you think she do? Has she improved in Stardom? Sorry, that was mean of me. How do you think she will do? Has she improved in Stardom, and could she be a star in America? Yes. I think she. If what we're, I think we could probably talk about this a little bit. We've actually kind of been privy to this for a little while. And Jamie, I know one of the things we've heard is that she's going to be getting a major push, be featured to a big time deal right from the start. Do you think they should do that?
Yeah, I mean, looking at kind of what they see in her, but from what we've kind of heard, they see her as someone who's got kind of like a bit of a full package, the in-ring promos, presentation, stuff like that. And I think that she definitely kind of delivers in all those aspects. Obviously, when she first came into Stardom, she was a bit of an unknown, unless you tapped into like the UK Indies or whatever. And I would say she's delivered in pretty much a lot of the big spots she's been given. I think team with Mina has been pretty good, and then in this 5-star, she's had some really great matches. The likes of Mina and Julia, stuff like that. She started throwing like backdrop drivers and stiff strikes and stuff.
I've been seeing some gifs. It's good stuff. Yeah.
And what else? Yes, keep on. Sorry.
I was just going to say. So I think she's really been improving in ring. Obviously, this is the case with a lot of like gaijins that go over. They're working with like the best women's wrestlers in the world. So obviously going over to AEW, and there's some absolutely great talent in there, but it's not going to be the top level all the time as frequently. But I think if they position it in the right way, which I believe they will do, I think they can get a real star there with Mariah May. So I think it'll be a good move. Go for it, Murph.
I don't know. Mariah May, she resembles a Charlotte Flair with her athleticism and her looks. But I think that she's going to have a similar, the cut across the Irish Sea. I think there's a similar wrestler that has a pretty similar rise to her, and known as Becky Lynch. So I think Mariah May is going to have a Becky Lynch type rise, through AEW, and I think that'd be very good for AEW's business, and I think that'd be a great move because she is the total package, and I think that she could be the 4 horsewoman star of AEW, in my opinion.
Thanks, Murph. We got a $5 super chat from Yozora Hart. P, you once called out fans for saying just go to Japan and every women's wrestler struggling to improve. Does Mariah May change your thoughts at all? My criticism was not really that Japan isn't a great place for wrestlers to improve, because I absolutely think it is. There's a reason that we all, well, at least 2 of us really, really love Joshi, and the other one has had moments where he has very much enjoyed Joshi more so than a lot of Americans.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, so just the point being that, like, we wouldn't pay this super close attention to these promotions if we didn't think it was great. My criticism was mainly like, it's not easy to just get up and go to Japan. You know what I mean? And I also think that that doesn't apply to everybody. I don't like. I'm sure that being in Stardom helped Mariah May find herself, but I'm also not one of these. I kind of just think that in wrestling, people either have it or they don't. And I tend to think that Mariah May, if she had kept with it in the British Indies, for example, she would have probably gotten to this level. Maybe not to the point where she's getting a monster push in American wrestling TV right away, but she absolutely would have been given like an NXT, look or something like that, and then you get there. So that's just kind of my thought. There's also people like, frankly, Xena is just all right. Zaya Brookside, I think a lot of people would even say regressed this last time in Stardom. Megan Bain was okay, I'd say, this tour. So there's it's just it depends on the wrestler. Sorry, I
thought you were finished.
No, I was just to put a bow on what I was saying. I think if you're naturally inclined to be a great wrestler, Joshi gives you the best platform to showcase that more so than anywhere else.
And I don't think it's strictly, a gender issue. I mean, look, if you look at a guy like Leon Slater, he's 17 years old, 18 years old. I mean, he came up and he had it. Like, I don't think that you need to go to overseas to show that you have it. You can do that where you live. I mean, they'll find good talent anywhere. I mean, I don't know how long it'll take. Like a guy like Adam Brooks. Adam Brooks has been busting his ass for all these years. They found him, and he finally got a big shot now. So, it really doesn't matter if you go to Japan. That's not going to make you a better wrestler when you're a terrible wrestler. It's going to make great wrestlers greater, but it's not going to, make you into what you are. So, really, you either have it or you don't, and Mariah May had it, and Japan was just able to fine-tune those type of things. It's not like if you decided, yeah, I'm going to send Alley Cat to Japan. It's not going to make Alley Cat into some superstar. It's not. She's still going to stink. So that's really, it doesn't matter if you either have it or you don't. I agree.
Jamie, anything to add here?
Nothing that you guys haven't already touched on. Just basically it's just pretty much what you said. It's more than just let's send this person to Japan. It's like you could be uprooting your whole life for a couple of months or whatever. It's not that easy. But yeah, I mean, for the right people it works, but it's absolutely a case by case basis.
Got a $2 super chat from Pretty Patel. Jamie, why aren't you returning my calls?
No comments.
No comment.
No comments.
I don't know. You should probably. I don't know. I might give you a moment to respond to all that. No, thank you so much. Good discussion off those super chats. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Other stuff for this tour, even though it's only been twice, for what feels like the millionth time, David Finlay versus Tama Tonga for the Never Openweight Championship. Not really looking forward to that too much. I didn't think Tama Tonga had a great G1. Finlay was about as expected. Tama was probably a little bit worse than I wanted. Strong openweight tag titles. The War Dogs will defend against Hikuleo and El Fantasmo. Again, these matches are like 6 weeks from now. We have a lot to get to. In Kobe, a couple weeks before this, we have what I think is a really fun, like upper mid-level New Japan card. Main event is Will Ospreay versus Yota Tsuji. That seems awesome for the IWGP US title. We also got Naito versus Cobb for the G1 briefcase. Shingo versus Great Khan. Anytime you get Shingo in a big time singles match, it's a big deal. Bishamon defending the tag titles against TMDK. And then Taichi versus Sho for the KOPW championship, which if it was Sho actually trying, it'd be incredible, but it probably won't be that. And then the other big thing announced is they're doing a 7-match series, which I think is really fun for New Japan. Strong Style is going to be taking on the Blue Justice team alongside Shota Umino and Master Wato in a 7-match series. And I'm excited to see what they do with the creativity there. Ostensibly, the winner of this series will be the next challengers for the Never 6-man titles. We also have that match, which is, who is it? It's like Tenzan, Togi Makabe, and Tiger Mask are the next challengers. I don't know about that. That match feels like it's going to be bad. Tenzan can't do anything. Tenzan hasn't been able to do anything for like 5 years. Tiger Mask is completely washed as well. Makabe can actually do some things still, but that's about it. Murph's talking to his roommate.
I can't remember who mentioned it. I feel like it was someone in the Rest Purist chat who said that it feels like they booked that match to make the champions look a bit younger.
Yeah,
that's a very good analysis.
That's pretty good. Okay, let's pause on New Japan for a little bit. I'd say probably the biggest show in Japan this week, this weekend, I would say, is probably the Dragon Gate show. Dangerous Gate. This is one of their top 5 or 6 shows of the year, generally somewhere around that range.
Yes.
Obviously, anytime there's a Dream Gate title defense and it's outside of Korakuen, it's usually a pretty big deal. But Murph, you were not a big fan of this show as our resident Dragon Gate fan. Let's talk about the main event first. Madoka Kikuta successfully defended the title against Kota Minoura. What'd you think of this?
It was weird. It wasn't a bad match. That's not really the thing. It just wasn't what you expect from those two guys in that spot. The first thing is I don't think this current Madoka Kikuta is a great champion. He's a great challenger. He can chase. I mean, for the last 9 months, his chase was unbelievable. But in this match, he didn't have like the presence to like main event a big show. Like he's just not. I think that he needs another chance. I would give him the Gate of Destiny, but he needs to switch some things up because this Madoka Kikuta is a better challenger than as a champion. And Kota Minoura was just I wouldn't say he's half-assing, but he didn't have the the presence. This match just didn't have the presence of a Dragon Gate Dangerous Gate main event. Think of the Dangerous Gate's main events. 5-on-5 elimination tags. I mean, Eita versus Doi, I believe was it. No, it was Eita versus someone. I don't remember. But this match wasn't what I expected, and it was the second disappointing main event title in a row. Madoka Kikuta, he's got a great finish. We all know that. He can resonate with the crowd. We all know that. But it didn't click, is really what I'd say. This main event did not click for me.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I've never been the biggest Kikuta fan. Obviously, he's still super young, right? Like I'm not. It's not like I'm.
And I'm a big fan, and this still didn't hit for me.
I still he just hasn't locked in for me as the top champion. You know what I mean? It just hasn't happened. He made it. He didn't main event Kobe World, but he did, and maybe that's part of it. He didn't main event Kobe World as the champion. He's beaten big time wrestlers, but it's like I'm waiting for him to do kind of what actually Yoshioka did last year, beating the Yamatos and the Eitas and the Mochis.
Yes, he hasn't beaten the old guard.
I mean,
really
it would be like in New Japan if like right now Tsuji, Narita, and Umino had all already won the IWGP World Heavyweight
amazing
Championship.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and yet only one of them had any successful defenses against like Naito or Tanahashi or something like that, right?
This is why,
Uh,
even though it would have been a more subpar match, I wish they did the Kikita versus Marufuji main event that was rumored for like a
Oh
bit,
yeah,
because at least that would have given him like a big name with
yeah.
credibility
That would have been
of
that
an
would have been really good.
outsider.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I wish they did that, or him facing a Yamato. But I mean, this Yamato character right now isn't in that position, so you can't really do that. Mochizuki would be weird, So it's really just like a lot of factors. But I don't think Kikita is dead yet. But I think that
no,
he
I
needs to
don't think so
reinvent himself
either.
a little bit.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for DG to have. I'm frankly just ready for Shun to win back the title. I'm ready for Skywalker to get it back.
I disagree.
I think Dragon Gate is so great with a heel champion. I loved Kai's reign so much. I've loved all when they have that top heel stable and have the top title, and they just build and build, and the matches are always great, even with some of the interference stuff, and it just feels higher stakes than with Yoshioka and with Kikuta as champion, and I'm a big fan of Yoshioka. So Jamie,
I think they need a guy. This is a really hot take. I think Big Boss. I would go with Big Boss. To me, that's the vibe. I think that would do big things for the promotion.
I thought
say Big Boss.
Yeah, I don't. That'd be fine by me. I would love Big Boss to win it. Jamie, any thoughts? Any thoughts on the main event here?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much touched on most of my thoughts. I mean, I kind of tend to agree that Kikuta doesn't truly feel like the absolute top guy yet, and I think part of that is kind of what you said. He hasn't really beaten the guys that it takes to be that top guy. I thought most of the action was like pretty solid, but I thought it kind of suffered from a bit of pacing. It could have pacing issues. I think it could have been a little.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it could have been a better match if you cut a few minutes off it. Made it a bit more fast paced, and then the other thing is just like the crowd wasn't as into it, anywhere near as into it as you would have liked, which obviously never helps.
I saw a tweet that said they were trying to do a New Japan main event style match on a Dragon Gate show, and I thought that was spot on. I don't remember who said that, but it wasn't the match that they needed to do. Is really the biggest thing.
Minoru has become a very patient wrestler in a lot of his big matches, and I don't know that it really works for him. We saw the awesome match that he had against Yoshioka in King of Gate, and then the semis and finals were really good too. If he leaned into that a little bit more, I think that'd be really good. So let's talk about some other stuff. We don't need to go super in depth on a lot of this. M3K, no. I cannot believe they're still champions. I don't get it at all. Like they completely hot potato these titles around, and yet the fucking Yasushi Kanda is the guy they decided to let keep the title forever. I don't get that at all. I wanted one of these two challenging teams to win, but they did not. They beat Z-Rat and Natural Vibes. It was just not good. It was just nothing crazy. I thought the best match on the show was third from the top, Yamato defeating Fujita Hayato.
By far.
On paper, this is like a dream match, right? Two of the best juniors in modern Japanese wrestling history.
Oh, and
going at it, and yeah, it was.
And a big thing for this match is, he was pretty heavily criticized on the show. I wasn't here; I would have defended him. But the Jay Church, the English commentator, was insane during this match. The way he described Fujita Junior Hayato's road to recovery, and to a Dragon Gate audience, a lot of people just watch Dragon Gate, maybe not on the English side, but they do. This was he did so well, and he added so much to this match. And Fujita Junior Hayato is a guy who needs a shot in New Japan. He should be in the Best of Super Juniors. He should be, because this guy's amazing. This guy's unbelievable. And Yamato is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So you really could not go wrong with this. And this made up for the very disappointing Yamato Hiromu match for me.
Michinoku Pro is one of those promotions that, despite having no international presence, like Kyushu Pro is another example of this. They actually draw pretty good crowds, and they have good attendance, and they make good money. They probably have comparable attendance to DDT this year, for example. But yeah, they just don't have the international exposure. So anytime I get to see Fujita Hayato in a big time singles match, it's a big deal. Ishii was on this show. It was a good time, fun match. Nothing crazy there. And then Ishin defended the Brave title against
Ooh, I
Mochizuki
love this.
Jr.
This
Yeah,
is
this
I
was
had a
good.
lot of fun with this. You know, Ishin is, one of my favorite young heels in wrestling, and Mochizuki Jr. is just on. He's a little version of his dad. Like he's just
Yeah.
like so crisp. Like, this guy is amazing.
I love the I love it when you get people who are like when you get like sort of young lion or young boy type wrestlers and they have that extra bit of like heat between them that it just always makes matches I think more.
And remember the
interesting than
storyline
most.
between them is that, they were teaming. They were a part of a team, and then Ishin was the one to
Ishin betrayed M3K.
what's
All right,
Ishin's name? It's like something
that's gonna wrap
ridiculous.
up. That's gonna wrap up DG this week. Murph, do you need to take off, or what do you want to do here? What I'm gonna ask you what your
Do you want to do while I'm here? Do you want to do our quick programming note? Just so
yeah,
for the three of
we'll
us?
let you know more detail. Like I'll tweet some stuff, but this is probably going to be our last. We might do like one more on Tuesday. We might have to record something ahead of time, but this is probably our last live show on Tuesday for a while. We will probably have a new day at some point. So yeah, just be aware of that.
And be ready for the day. And we had a lot of fun on Tuesdays, but now we have to move on because people have things in their life. Like I want to go see Trick Williams wrestle, so now I can do that on Tuesday nights. And
That's right.
everyone else. So for everyone that supported us on Tuesdays, I really appreciate it and thank everyone. And I'll catch y'all later.
All right, bye, Murph. Murph had to go. Murph has a dumb idiot like baby meeting that he has to go to. All right, I'm gonna go. Let me get this. Let me get this background in order here.
Oh,
Perfect. Okay. There will be a dumb day at some point. Maybe, yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's what do we want to do now? Do you want to talk a little Stardom? Jamie, you want to go a little Stardom?
let's get into some Stardom. Let's do that.
Stardom.
Stardom,
There
man. Let's do
there
Stardom.
was a pay-per-view this weekend. This was what was the pay-per-view called? This was not Stardom.
Stardom Midsummer Fest.
Midsummer Fest, not Fest, not Festival. I guess I didn't make the connection that both Stardom and Dragon Gate were at Ota Ward on consecutive nights. Dragon Gate, I guess, outdrew by like 250. What do you know? But yeah, this was a legend show. This is what we talked about last year on the preview. And again, we don't need to go through every single match here. For the most part, I really enjoyed just the show. I just thought it was a lot of fun, kind of low stakes. This is like, and actually, before I get too into it, I want to get into this super chat here. But just to finish what I was saying, it kind of made me think of like Stardom. What Stardom was that what Stardom X Stardom was like last year when they started like going like way out and beyond. This is kind of more what I liked, where it's kind of outside of Stardom canon or whatever, but it's not insane and like kind of annoying and off-putting sports entertainment stuff. That's not my favorite. But before we get into the show too much, thank you so much, Chi-Town Spurs. We have a $20 super chat from Chi-Town Spurs. The Joshi fan backlash to the Mariah May news was the expected snobbish remarks towards the AEW women's division. But at one point, I assume at what point, do the fans look at Bushiroad and ask why they won't commit revenue to Gaijin talent? This is an interesting question. This is a good one. My thought on, I guess I don't know what's in Chi-Town. Feel free to clarify in the comments. I've thankfully been able to avoid a lot of like Joshi Twitter stuff. I think the Stardom versus AEW conversation is like seriously like one of the dumbest conversations, and that's like saying something on wrestling Twitter that I've seen in a long time. I just wish people were like honest. It's okay to be like, I don't want my Stardom wrestlers to go to AEW, because I feel like that's just what a lot of people truly believe, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be anything like bigger than that. My guess is like I trust that Tony Khan and Rossi Ogawa are like rational people and want to do what's going to make their companies money. And so I don't think there's anything else at stake there. I don't consider them incompetent for not doing anything like that. But anyway, for the second part, why they won't commit revenue to Gaijin talent, I'm interested to see what your sort of reaction to this is, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess another kind of case of this was the was Aussie Open, who were pretty much looking like to be the face of that tag team division in New Japan for a little while, and then obviously weren't tied down to deals. Ended up in AEW. I'm not too sure what the kind of the reason behind that is. Whether, I mean, obviously we just saw it appears finances are down. I'm not sure what the validity was
Oh
of
yeah, I saw
the
that.
financial report that came out a few days ago. Maybe that's got something to do with it. But I'm not too sure. There's always a few names across the Bushiroad companies that you would imagine are tied down, but then it turns out they're not. There's a few different cases there, so I don't really know exactly what the reasoning behind it is. In terms of like Mariah May going to AEW and whatever, I mean, like as like primarily a Stardom fan, I've really enjoyed their work. So yes, I would have preferred her to stay there, but I have faith that they're going to do right by an AEW based on how talented she is, and also just like the kind of things we've heard of how much they appear to value her. So I'm not going to like throw my toys out the pram or anything. That's what she wants to do, and it makes sense. Then go for it. But I'm not too sure what the kind of the Gaijin talent thing is about there.
My thought is just Stardom for Stardom for so long. Like you can genuinely divide a lot of Stardom's history to pre-pandemic. You can either say pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, or you can honestly say pre-Hanakamura, post-Hanakamura, right?
Mm.
And that's kind of the division there, because those kind of occurred at the same time. But post COVID, or post March 2020, the roster became super isolated, super partitioned from anything else. They were poaching talent, and I think it was because they just couldn't, because of the pandemic and because of travel restrictions and stuff, they couldn't bring in foreign talent like they wanted to. And it was the same, there weren't as many freelancers. Most wrestlers kind of stayed to their own promotions during that time, and there wasn't as much moving around like we're seeing this year with everybody, in New Japan and Noah and All Japan. All these people are going like all over the place, right? So I genuinely think it was just kind of a coincidence that happened to be the case. And then it just so happened that all these great homegrown wrestlers in Japan, not foreign wrestlers, happened to be really, really good and became really, really popular, and led to Stardom being literally the only promotion in Japan to grow during the pandemic. And now they're comfortably, in terms of international exposure, the number 2 promotion in Japan. And I think that's just been a big part of it. They haven't felt the need to bring in a B. Priestley or an alpha female or something like that to as a permanent member of the roster, because their current roster is stacked. And to be honest, like we saw last year, a female wouldn't be one of the 20 best wrestlers on the roster. I think Mariah May is really good. I'm not sure Mariah May is one of the 20 best wrestlers on the roster right now, in terms of just pure in-ring talent. So that's just kind of my thought. They just haven't. If you are able to consistently either train really great wrestlers, which they've actually kind of done less over the last few years, but if you're also able to find great talent and scout great talent from across the country, like they have done with Suzu Suzuki and Mei Seira and all the people that they've brought in, going back even a little further with people like Maika and Himeka and Tekla and people like that, I think that's the move. Because it just makes things easier. They're less expensive. They live in Japan. There's all that. So no, I think this is a good question. Tri-Town Spurs.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it there with the Stardom side of things. My only real thing where I still don't kind of understand the whole bigger picture on like the Bushiroad side as a whole, with mainly Aussie Open. That's the example that's like, I guess that's the one that's sticking out. But I think you're absolutely right in the it's not, they're not fully needed as much as like pre-pandemic stuff. They would have been more involved heavily.
And the other thing is I know that Bushiroad is like a multi-conglomerate, and they have all these different, they have feelers in every little, lots of different sectors, and all over the entertainment industry and beyond even. But like they can't match Tony Khan's pocketbook. They just can't, like, not even close. So when maybe because I think the Aussie Open came, I can't remember why this came out, but I can't remember if it was like one of the Aussie Open guys said that they felt like they got lowballed or something like that, or I can't remember where that conversation point came from. But the reality is, like, they just like Ada or New Japan just can't afford to keep Aussie Open. And when you compare that to, frankly, I would say for most wrestlers, wrestling on American wrestling TV is more appealing and attractive than wrestling long tours in a foreign country or you don't speak the language and all that. I think it's just tough. It's just tough. Not everybody's built out for it. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think I think that was an interesting question, and I'm interested to see what Stardom does. This is their first time in a long time losing an important talent that they were probably going to build around for a while. They lost to Mega as well. Yeah.
There's been an interesting bit of booking that I think may tie into this. We actually trying to think
Cosmic
where
Angels stuff.
Yeah, there's yeah. I mean, Mina could end up going back with which that'd be an interesting to see how that would play out, because Tam's kind of made it known that Mina would be coming in as kind of the bottom level there, so it'll be an interesting dynamic.
If only they had just had Waka win the Cinderella, and then they could have had a built-up wrestler, or not, the Cinderella, and then they could have had a built-up wrestler on this in this stable that wasn't a foreigner, right? Crazy how that could have worked. Still one of my least favorite booking decisions of the year. Getting into the show, the big two matches on the show were the final two. All right. Speaking of Cosmic Angels, we had Tam Natsupoya and Soriano beating Hazuki, Shinobu Kandori, and Takako Inoue, two legends there. Just fun stuff. Great wrestlers all around. I loved Hazuki in there getting to team with two legends, made her feel like a big deal. And I love the Cosmic Angels team, of course. Yeah, I'm sure you felt the same way.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of the show as a whole was pretty like good vibes. So all these legends in there with the best of the current day, and this kind of like summed it up. Hazuki being in there on the legend side kept the kept the pace up when it was kind of like fading a little bit. Obviously, Takako Inoue and Shinobu Kandori aren't in their prime or anything, so they're not going to work like the pace of the Cosmic Angels team. We've got like some pretty hard hitting and fast paced wrestlers right now, but even then, there was still some great moments, some really good dynamics throughout the whole match, and just like a fun party type feel to this match. Same for pretty much most of the legends matches on the show, and just like fun stuff. They after the match they did tease a red belt match with Shinobu Kandori and Tam Nakano. I'm not sure if that's. I
don't think that one's happening, folks.
Yeah, I think we keep it to the multi-woman matches where you can kind of like get a few different names involved. I'm not sure if we need to go in with the big singles matches, but I enjoyed this for what it was.
Main event I thought was legit great. I love this match. I thought it was really good. Oedo Tai, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and then Yu was on their team up against the Legends team of Nanai Takahashi, Momoe Nakanishi, and a 62-year-old Jaguar Yokota. This match really had no reason being as good as it ended up being. It was a really just great 6-man tag match. Felt like a big deal. Momoe Nakanishi was such a revelation here, having not wrestled regularly since 2005. She comes back here and 18 years later and wrestles in the main event of the pay-per-view of the biggest Joshi promotion since about 2005. Really, really impressive stuff. And what'd you think of this one?
Yeah, this was by far my match of the night. I thought this was terrific. The dynamics in this were great because obviously you had Momoe Nakanishi and Starlight Kid, the two kind of high speed based wrestlers going at it. And Nakanishi, like she came away as the highlight of the whole show. You saw a lot of people talking about her, and obviously Starlight Kid, currently one of the best high speed wrestlers, going in the Joshi scene. But Momoe could absolutely keep up with her, and it kind of had me wanting like a bit of a return. If she could do something in that high speed division, a couple matches here and there, she still got it. And then obviously you had Nanai and Yu going at it, which was an interesting dynamic. With obviously they were tag champs not too long ago, 7-up, and now it seems that they're not really on the same wavelength anymore. Yu's kind of been positioned to be aligned with Oedo Tai a little bit in the last show or two. I believe it was either who nominated there for the Julia match. I don't know whether there's anything developing there or whether it's just kind of they just thrown her in. And then obviously Jaguar Yokota and Momo Watanabe as well. I thought they had some really fun moments. It's just another really great vibes party type matchup with Momo and Nakanishi definitely the standout. Just really exciting stuff. And yeah, a good way to end what was a pretty fun show for what it was.
If you enjoyed Jaguar Yokota in this match, as I think a lot of people did, she was on the 0-1. What was it? It was I think with the Ota Ward show last year. That was kind of the big Shinjiro Otani, like, memorial is not the right word, but just like, support show essentially. And she was in a tag. She teamed with Chihiro Hashimoto and Asuka Veni against Aja Kong, Yuna Manase, and Natsumi. Does she still wrestle? Natsumi? Oh, Natsumi hasn't wrestled in like 9 months. I wonder what that's about. All caps Natsumi, trained by Megumi Kudo, the only 0-1 female wrestler. Anyway, that match was really good. That was a really fun 6-woman tag match, and Jaguar was a big part of that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, definitely go back and check that. But yeah, fun show, fun pay-per-view for Stardom here. I'm ready to get back to the 5-star though. Speaking of, there was a Stardom Korakuen Hall show that happened on, it was a week ago today. So obviously it hadn't been uploaded at the time. I don't want to go super in depth on all of these, but I thought each of the final 3 matches, I thought the whole show was great, but each of the final 3 matches with Shuri beating Hazuki, Mayu Iwatani, and Tam going to a draw, and then Azumi pinning Utami Hayashishita in the main event, I thought all 3 of those matches were excellent.
Oh yeah, it's just more of what we've been getting so far with the 5-star, and it's such a big, such a big gap from what we had with the G1. And I know it feels like we're beating a bit of a dead horse every single week when I bring that up, but it's such a stark contrast that this is another great example of that.
Upcoming, we also had a show a couple days ago that hasn't been uploaded yet that had Hazuki and Ami Sourei, and then Natsuko Tora versus Mayu Iwatani. Coming up this week, we have, let's see if I can get this open. So yeah, we got Tam versus Tora, Utami versus Maika. That's always a great one. And Julia versus Mirai on the same show. That is Saturday. And then Sunday, gosh, just another more good stuff. Momo versus Mariah May, Ano versus Hanan, Starlight Kid versus Ami Sourei, and Natsupoi versus Natsuko Tora. More great stuff. So yeah, more Stardom this weekend coming up. Okay, where do you want to go next, Jamie? How about you decide? I'm tired of hosting.
Should we get into some of the kind of Puro adjacent shows that happened in America this week?
Let's do that. We'll start with the All-Star Junior Festival 2023 in the USA. I like this show a lot. Some people were kind of down on it. Some people didn't love it. I thought it was really good. I can get most of the criticisms I saw were like some of the talent choices, like Enzo Amore and Cheeseburger. And like Jordan Oliver and Blake Christian, like some of the American indie smaller guys who people aren't big fans of, but I don't know. I thought there was really good wrestling all over the show. Anytime you get 2 Mike Bailey singles matches on the same show against high quality opponents, I'm a big fan of that. Desperado and Mao teaming was great. And then we had a wild 3-way ladder match in the semi-main here. But yeah, we'll talk about the mini tournament. We'll focus on that. Kevin Knight beat Clark Connors, and then Mike Bailey beat Francesco Akira to advance to the main event. And then the winner of this tournament ended up being Speedball Mike Bailey over Kevin Knight in the finals, and he has earned an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match that I think was announced as a 3-way that Leo Rush will also be in.
Yeah, it ties into something that we'll get into in the Multiverse show with Impact. But yeah, this was kind of, I think we pretty much predicted that Mike Bailey was pretty much the favorite for this one. I think the winner of him versus Akira was going to determine who was going to win this tournament. I don't think anyone really thought that Kevin Knight or Clark Connors were getting the big title match just yet. But yeah, I think Mike Bailey was definitely the MVP of this show. Like you said, two really big singles matches. Akira is always as well one of my favorites, and I think they had really great chemistry. Definitely like to see another match between those two down the line with a bit more time. But yeah, and then the main event I thought was the best match of the show. I think obviously, like we already said, talk about Mike Bailey. He's one of the most consistent wrestlers in the world, and he does it across Impact and the Indies, and when he goes to Japan as well, he always delivers. And then Kevin Knight, I think he's got a ton of potential. I think I thought he delivered as well in this big spot. He'll definitely be up there in junior title contention before long. He's obviously doing the tag stuff at the moment with Kushida, but he's got some really exciting offense, and I thought they had nice chemistry too. So yeah, a good little showing in this tournament, and sets up a very exciting match, which we'll get into a little bit more when we get to the Impact stuff.
This was the best match of Kevin Knight's career in the main event. He's just really. I didn't think he had a very strong Best of the Super Juniors at all, really. So to see him, and of course, everybody has great matches with Mike Bailey, but yeah, really good stuff here. Really good stuff. Let's move on to the other New Japan-ish show that happened this weekend. The following day, these were both at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. We had New Japan and Impact Wrestling's co-produced show, their Multiverse United show. This was another one where I'm just going to focus on the last two matches here. This tag match, we knew, I mean, on paper, it's great, right? Leo Rush and Trey Miguel versus Hiromu and Mike Bailey, and it ended up being great. And it led to Leo Rush getting the challenge in on Hiromu and making it a three-way match alongside Mike Bailey for that junior title.
Yeah, this was really fun. There was another junior tag that I enjoyed a lot as well in the show that earlier on with
TMDK and Catch 22.
Catch 22. Yeah, so that was really good. But I thought this was the match of the night for me. Another great showing for Mike Bailey. I think he had a really, really, really great week, popping up all over the show. And yeah, just everyone delivered in this. Trey Miguel, obviously, probably the guy in this match that people watch the least, unless you're super tapped in to Impact. I feel like most of the other guys in there probably more well known, more easy people talking about them a little bit more. But I thought he kind of like delivered as well, just as much as the other guys. He really showed he belonged in there. And yeah, it sets up the three-way with Leo Rush obviously picking up the win, a low blow on Hiromu, and then getting the win. He calls a shot, says he's already the X Division champion, but he wants IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. This causes a bit of outrage from Mike Bailey. He's already, he's already set himself up as the next challenger, and then we get the announcement for the triple threat of destruction, and that should be immense. I mean, Hiromu is obviously one of the best juniors of all time, and then we saw Mike Bailey and Leo Rush in Best of the Super Juniors. I think a lot of people would say that those are two of the absolute standouts, not just including the guys, but across the whole tournament. They kind of delivered in pretty much every big match they were given. So getting this three-way with Hiromu, I think that should be one of the best matches on that destruction tour by a long shot.
In the main event, Alex Shelley defended the Impact World Championship against Hiroshi Tanahashi, which I also thought was very fun here. Shelley started throwing out like classic New Japan finishers after a while. It was pretty funny. But yeah, just another good one here. It was good to see Tanahashi is just so effortless when he's in the States. He's just able to do whatever he wants pretty much and put on a good show for the fans. And yeah, I thought this was a good time. I like Alex Shelley as Impact World Champion in 2023.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I thought this match was pretty solid. There's obviously, there's physical limitations there in terms of what these guys, well, particularly Tanahashi, what he can do in there. I think this match a couple of years back would be like truly like something special. But even then, just the kind of just the level these two can hit, regardless, it still means this is going to be a great title match. And I thought it delivered a strong main event to close the show. Good stuff. Obviously, Shelley keeps the title, which I don't think was too surprising. I don't think anyone thought Tanahashi was sticking around for an Impact run at this stage in the career. But just pretty solid stuff to close out what I thought was a pretty solid show all around. Not my favorite show by any means, but I had some pretty enjoyable stuff there. And good stuff.
Let's move on to a little bit of pro wrestling Noah. All right, we will know our block victors of the N1 victory after this weekend. The way it stands is kind of interesting. It feels very classic I don't know. It feels very, very classic Japanese pro tournament, round robin tournament, where even though the people like who are winning are winning, it doesn't feel like they really have a chance. And it still feels like the people who we thought were going to win it are in fact the ones who are going to win it. So so here are things as they stand. I posted the standings a couple days ago, and now I'm just not finding them anywhere where I put them. I know that Lance Anoa'i is leading Block B, and I'm pretty sure Jake Lee is leading Block A. He might be tied with Masa Kitamiya. No, I think he's just leading Block A outright. But the way it's set up is Keno can still win Block A, which I think a lot of people predicted, because he hasn't wrestled Jake Lee yet. That's on Sunday here, and then and then that of course that final day, everybody's looking ahead to the Go Shiozaki versus Katsuhiko Nakajima match, and it just feels it'd be a stunning if that wasn't the block final. So for this weekend, Nakajima versus Lance Anoa'i on Saturday will almost certainly be a Nakajima win. Keno versus Masa Kitamiya and Go Shiozaki versus Manabu Soya. I think Nakajima, Keno, and Shiozaki will win all three of those. Also notably, Yoshiki Inamura, it's like silly at this point how little he wins. It's like ridiculous. He hasn't won a match yet. He's been with the company for like ever. He was in Congo like 4 years ago, and they still just don't do anything with him. I just don't get what they're trying to do. It's not even like he's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, like I've not been like crazily tapped into this M1. I've not been watching absolutely every single match, but the Inamura matches that I've seen, he's been really good. He's been having some standout performances, and I've seen a lot of people, share the same frustrations that like he's delivering in the matches, and they're not doing anything with it. It's not even like they're like he's almost getting there, but they're not quite pulling the trigger. There's nothing. there's like they're genuinely not throwing him a bone at all. And yeah, it's pretty baffling.
Yeah, I don't really get it at all. I don't really get the idea here with what they're doing with Inamura. He's popular, like the crowd loves him, and even little stuff like he was tag champions with Kaito at one point. Like usually in Japanese wrestling, when you've hit a certain level of like star power or of accolades, you don't just go back to being a jobber, which is what they did with Inamura. People forget, in the first ever Cyber Fight Festival over 2 years ago at this point, the big all-star interpromotional tag match was Kinosuke Takeshita and Yuki Ueno against Kaito Kiyomiya and Yoshiki Inamura. And then they've just like been like, nope, he's a fucking jobber, actually, now that I think about it. No, I think I've changed my mind on him. He doesn't deserve shit. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all. He has a cool look. He has big time gear. It's not like he's presented like a young boy or anything like that. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's just not. It just doesn't gel with what I think we think basic Japanese wrestling booking is. But in any case, maybe they're just building up him to just get this massive upset victory over Jake Lee this Saturday, which. There's like a logic there, but like, wouldn't it make sense to just like have him beat some other people too, so that it doesn't feel like a fluke? Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing the whole like crazy upset win, like you can still do that with like a lower level guy. I think even telling that story, I think that's hampering where
why would you do it with like a 260-pound man? Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Like,
he's not a viable like.
He's not Mace Sarah out there. He's a big boy. I don't know. But yes, on day 8 we do have Go Shiozaki versus Katsuhiko Nakajima. We also have Jake Lee versus Keno. Those are two great matches. Really looking forward to those. Also on this show we have Ihode Dr. Wagner Jr. against Manabu Soya, which was a really good international title match from early this year. So almost certainly the best show of the tournament will happen this this Sunday, and we will know who ends up winning the titles. Maybe he yeah, I think you're right about this. He may have challenged with Kaito at one point, but yeah, he was definitely like positioned to be in a big position regardless. Anyway, I'm sticking with my prediction. I still think it's going to be Go Shiozaki over Keno in the finals. You went with Nakajima, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was still pretty 50-50, and it was kind of me just trying to be trying to be a little bit different. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think the reason I went for Nakajima over Go was more to do with the final matchup with Keno after the Congo split, rather than the actual like challenge, which is probably not the right kind of idea for me. But yeah, I'll stick with it.
All right, what else we got going on around here? I got to be honest, y'all. It was kind of a quiet week. I mean, like we said at the beginning, it was a lot of like sort of kind of important stuff, but nothing like all that like essential. And it's the same thing this upcoming weekend. Like we don't have anything crazy going on this upcoming weekend either. One thing I do want to talk about, if we can take it back to the Joshi scene a little bit, we have maybe, aside from this wrestler's return show, we might have the most anticipated Joshi indie match of the year this weekend, when Arisa Nakajima defends the Beyond the Sea Championship in Seedling against Suri, which should be fantastic, because Suri has been fantastic since coming back to Japan. All of her interactions that she's had with Nakajima have just been out of this world good. Not a Seedling fan, not my favorite promotion, but whenever they actually decide to put two like world-class wrestlers against each other, which they do like once or twice a year, it's appointment viewing. They really do have some of the best big matches in all of wrestling. You excited for this one?
Oh, absolutely. This should be incredible. I mean, we talked a bunch about Suri when she was about to come back. You know, we kind of said before she went over there, she was pretty much the best of the Joshi Indies. You know, before she heads to WWE, I think she's back there in very quick time. I think she's picked up exactly where she left off. Like you said, delivered in pretty much every spot she's been given, and I think in a big time singles match against Arisa Nakajima, who herself is tremendous. This should be phenomenal.
Yep, looking forward to that one quite a bit, and I think we might get a title change. I think Suri might pick up the dub here. Yeah, because like this. Who else who else is winning this Beyond the Sea Championship? You know what I mean?
This was one of two big time singles title. Well, actually three, I guess, because she's been talking about the IWGP. But this is one of two big title matches that I felt like Suri was setting up after a couple of her return matches. One of them we're now not going to get, because Mio Momono is no longer the AAW champion. It felt like they were setting up that match at some point. But obviously, the Marvelous go in a different direction. But we're getting this one, and this one should be absolutely phenomenal.
Speaking of Joshi Indies, I think we might be getting a new Ice Cross Infinity champion this weekend. Yuri, who, you know, one of the biggest upsets, you know, surprise winners in all year in wrestling, winning this championship. She's defending against Ibuki Hoshi, who is incredible. She's still only like 20 years old, and she's just out of this world good. She's genuinely one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. I really hope she wins the title here. If she does, like, that might be enough to draw me back in and be a regular Ice Ribbon viewer. I just think she's so spectacular as a wrestler, and Yuri's good, and I love the choice to make her champion. But number one, Hoshi's just better. But number two, Ibuki Hoshi is completely homegrown, and she's an Ice Ribbon wrestler. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for this one. I'm really looking forward to seeing the result here. What else we got going on? We got the All Japan Royal Road going on.
Oh, yeah.
We already know what the semifinals are going to be. We've already gotten it down to the final four. They did 3 straight nights of wrestling. The big story is this young man, Ryuki Honda, born in the year 2000, pinned Yuma Aoyagi, the Triple Crown champion, and the promotion ace, Kento Miyahara, in consecutive matches. So he has put himself in the driver's seat for a title match. However, I don't think he's winning the tournament. I think he's going to be a challenger at a later event. I still think Satoshi Kojima, who was my original pick, will be winning this tournament. The semis are going to be Kojima versus Shuji Ishikawa, and then Suwama versus Ryuki Honda. I'm going to say Suwama beats Honda, and I'm going to say Kojima beats Ishikawa, and we get Kojima versus Suwama in the finals. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this Ryuki Honda thing has been like pretty exciting. I think he's absolutely one for the future, and they've established him now as a someone who's going to be up there in title contention. I mean, he's going to have that title match now. He beat Yuma Aoyagi. It's all but confirmed. I think I'm leaning towards the same prediction in terms of Kojima, but I'm going to throw it out there that I think Honda beats Suwama and makes the final. I think it'd be an interesting way to go, having him beat the current champion, then Kento Miyahara, and then Suwama. I think that would be a very interesting route to the final, but I think he may just fall at the final hurdle.
We also have an All Japan versus GLEAT show tomorrow. Actually, tonight in like 8 hours or so. But there's a couple cool things here, like Lindemann versus Rising Hayato is for the junior title is fun. But and it's Korakuen Hall show, and All Japan just has the best Korakuen crowds. But the main event looks fantastic. I mean, this is going to be one of the best multi-man tag matches of the year, in my opinion. It's a generation battle. Kento Miyahara, Suwama, T-Hawk, and Kaz Hayashi against Yuma Anzai, Hayato Tamura, Tetsuya Izuchi, and Atsuki Aoyagi in the main event. And it's the main event of Korakuen Hall. You've got Kento, Suwama, and T-Hawk are three of the wrestlers who have the most passionate fans in Japan, and they're up there against all these super rookies like Yuma and Izuchi and Aoyagi. This looks so much fun. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I remember the show being announced, but I didn't realize it would come up so quickly. But that's absolutely going to be one I'm going to be tuned into. Anytime you get a big show like this, especially with Kento Miyahara and guys like that in the mix, it's always going to be a fun one, particularly in Korakuen Hall. Kento in particular in Korakuen Hall is like God amongst men. he's so popular there.
And I love that it's in a main event slot. Like, that means it's going to get time. Everybody's going to be showcased and featured. Yuma Anzai is going to do something crazy, and people are going to be like, hey, calm down. Izuchi is going to like annoy T-Hawk, and then T-Hawk's going to like stiff him. It's going to be great. Hayato Tamura is going to like deadlift Suwama. Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this one. Genuinely one of the matches outside of the obvious ones that I've been excited for the most in a long time. And then the Royal Road finals are this Sunday, so we will know who the next challenger is for the Triple Crown. Jimmy, what the heck else is there to talk about? Oh, I remember. We're gonna go to Mexico.
Yeah,
we got a super chat here from Matt B 521. You come up with such random numbers for your super chats, Matt B. I'm always enthused by this. Stuka Jr. versus Soberano Jr. was the match of the week. CMLL is the best. AW should drop AAA trash. Also, Nanai haters once again rolling in sewage. Ida match, great. I love the abbreviation when you're trying to fit in the character limit there. You're trying to do what you can. But no, I agree about the Ida match. I thought it was awesome. I love Saida. She's one of my favorites in Stardom, and so I was really glad to see her put on. She's like the type of wrestler who is supposed to put on a great performance against Nanai, right?
Yeah.
Going back to a little bit of Joshi lore here, I don't think you were a fan at this time, but in like late 2020, they did Joshi Assemble shows. Do you remember this at all? Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I remember a little bit about it. Yeah.
Okay. So and they also they were leading to Yoshiko and Nanai coming into Stardom for that big time Budokan show that was main evented by Tam versus Julia. But they did a preview tag in Seedling where Momo, who was going to face Nanai, was in there, and then they didn't have Mayu come, who was going to face Yoshiko, but she did send her stablemate Saida in to do it, and this match pissed me off. This was when I am a Nanai believer. I am not a Nanai hater. This was one of the rare times where I was like, come on, all right, because Ida would like would like hit like a big move, and then I would bump, and then she would just stand up. She wouldn't like she'd bump for it, and then she'd just stand up and then just go back on the offense. I was like, come on, that's not fair. And anyway, it was nice to see a little recap of that. But anyway, thank you for the super chat, Matt B. We appreciate it. Yes, we had CMLL, a good Viernes show this Friday. Yes, there was a big Soberano versus Stuka singles match. I would have liked it more in the main event. You know how much I love Soberano. In the semi-main, when the main event is the International Grand Prix, that usually means that the semi-main is not going to get a bunch of time. And obviously all CMLL Viernes matches, unless they're lightning matches, are 2 out of 3 falls. The match went under 15 minutes, so you can probably guess how quick those first 2 falls were. Kind of limited the ceiling a bit, but I really enjoyed that. Did you check out this one, Jamie?
I did, yeah. I thought this match was pretty good. Obviously, Soberano Jr. I think is one of the absolute best over there, and Stuka Jr. as well. I think he's a really great rudo over there. I think he's doing good stuff since losing the mask as well. I think he's only gotten a lot better too. But yeah, obviously, like you mentioned, the timing was a little bit of an issue. It felt like they flew through the first 2 falls. It was kind of like it was pretty. They rushed to that final third, but once they did build up to that final finish, I thought all the work was pretty great. Super exciting stuff, and just like they're 2 of the best in there. Soberano in particular is always like super slick with everything he does, and he's I would have liked to have seen Soberano in the Grand Prix as well. I felt like he would have been a good little addition to there.
Early on in the show, I really wanted Akuma and Espanto Jr. to win the Mexican national tag titles. Akuma was so great in that hair match a couple months ago. I wanted him to get rewarded, but unfortunately, Magnus, not Nick Aldis, but actual Magnus and Rugido, everybody's favorite wrestler, Rugido, are still champions. Los Depredadores. But yes, the main event, obviously the appeal of the CMLL show, is the yearly Grand Prix International, right? So we had Team Mexico, and this team is wild. Both teams are kind of wild. We had Mexico 2.0, that's Mascara Dorado 2.0, Ultimo Guerrero, Volador, Templario, Dragon Rojo Jr., who, by the way, are like going to do a mask match, Averno, and Angel de Oro, who ended up defeating the international team of Hiromu Takahashi, Kushida, Rocky Romero, Samurai del Sol, TJP, Francisco Akira, Balian Aki for some reason, and also Adrian Quest, who unsurprisingly was the first person eliminated from this match. But it was a long one. I didn't think it was as good as last year's, which was pretty spectacular. But the storytelling here, I thought, was better. There were like more story beats to follow because CMLL has had some pretty consistent booking over the last year that made it really enjoyable. It was long. It was like 45 minutes, but eventually it was Mystico who was 1-on-2 against Kushida and Hiromu Takahashi, and he beat both of them. Maybe Mystico should get an IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. I don't know, but yeah, this is a fun match.
I would not be against it. Yeah, I thought this was really fun. I mean, it's when you have all these like really exciting names involved, it's always going to be an exciting one, and they kind of swap in and out so frequently that you get a real mix of styles in pretty much like every matchup. And yeah, just like I thought Kushida. It was nice to see him, and I think he did pretty well in this. He got a lot of eliminations, which is nice because his Best of the Super Juniors run wasn't kind of left a lot to be desired in terms of where they see him in New Japan. So him getting a nice big spot in here was good. And yeah, I thought it built up to the right kind of closing stretch. The people who you would like to have seen make it towards the final few people did. You got the right kind of matchups in terms of who made it to that final 4 or 3 wrestlers in there. And Mystico, man, I love Mystico so much. It's been really good to see him back in there. And he's just like he's so like unbelievably popular over there in CML. He's like he is the man. So yeah, if we get that Hiromu match for the IWGP title, I would never say no to that. So this was all good stuff.
So it has been announced. I didn't even realize this. Dragon Rojo and Templario are going to do a mass versus mass match at the anniversary show. So that will probably main event that show, which is a pretty big deal, pretty big spot for them. Dragon Rojo will be losing his mask on that one. Templario is not losing. He looks too cool. But yeah, good stuff. Maybe I could. We got a little bit of time here. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about CMLL and how I'm like. So, a lot of people have been saying CMLL is really good this year, right? Like that's been a pretty common talking point. I would like to push back against that a little bit. It's CMLL is really great if you watch like 2 matches of it a month, which I think a lot of people do, and you just pick the best one. I think you can say that about 15 different promotions in the world. The difference is CMLL stands out because it has some of the best environments in wrestling, and because their luchadors are so incredibly well trained that there's like the big CMLL matches almost never disappoint because they have such a ridiculously high floor. Like it's like practically this Torneo Grand Prix was like practically inconceivable that it wasn't going to be at least a very good match, right? Because of the environment and because of just how solidly good the wrestlers are. I do want to push back a little bit and say the booking is incredibly tame. They just don't do anything out of the ordinary. I mean, you'll get your anniversary mask match, and then there's been some good story beats this year with like Rocky Romero coming in and being an awesome heel, stuff like that. But seriously, half the time these Friday shows are just not. There's just not, and that's the flagship show. There's no point in watching anything else because the wrestlers don't try on Tuesdays. They're just not that exciting. There's only so many like Mystico, Volador, and Dorada 2.0 versus, Ultimo, Gran, and Stuka Jr. main events that I can watch before I'm like, okay, I get it. I get the idea. If they did more singles matches, if they did more title matches, the other thing about CMLL, titles mean nothing at all. They don't mean anything at all. They have these ridiculously long reigns that go years long, and they only change it. Like literally, it's just their champion is their best wrestler in that division, and then just whenever they decide they're not the best wrestler, they change the title. Okay, that's why the Rocky Romero stuff was so awesome, because he won a title from Volador, who's been one of their top stars for the last decade, and he's been dominant with it ever since. And you just don't expect that to happen in CMLL. So if CMLL was more exciting, if they, like I said this last week or a couple weeks ago, if they just found a common ground between AAA, where they keep the incredibly high standard of wrestling, but they make the booking just a little bit more exciting, just a little bit more compelling on a week-to-week basis, I think it would be one of the best promotions in the world. As it stands, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like Pro Wrestling Noah for me right now as it stands, where once or twice a month, there's a great match in Pro Wrestling Noah. But for the most part, it's just like same old. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Any thoughts on this? Because you're not a super in-depth lucha fan like I am, who just has the vested interest in wanting to see it succeed so much like I do.
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much like you see it all the time. You see people who've, they'll check out the match that's kind of like broke out from just the general viewership. Say like the Rocky and Mascara Dorada match that we recently had, or this Grand Prix match. So a lot of people checking that one out. And like you said, you'll see people saying like, "Oh, damn, that match was really great. I wish I watched CMLL more." And the reason they, but the reason they only check out those 1 or 2 matches a month is because that's all there really is.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that would like break out that much to the point where you go and check out a new promotion like that. So the reason that no one ever really follows up on it is because there isn't really all that much to follow up on. But the big stuff that you do get is always some of my favorite stuff in all of wrestling. But it's just not consistent enough and not bold enough, like you said, in terms of the booking for it to be like a promotion you really, really sink your teeth into, unless you're like, willing to watch absolutely everything outside of like the crazy big stuff. But yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said there.
I want to see how many, like, yeah. So on Viernes, Soberano Jr. has had 3 3 singles matches all year. Sorry, make that, I guess, 4. And none since May. One of them, like, it was against fucking Averno, who's like okay, but it's like, who cares? The other was an 8-minute match, 8-minute match against Barbaro, which was really good for 8 minutes. 13-minute match against Dragon Rojo, which was all about the Templario story. And then at the beginning of the year, he wrestled Templario, in what was one of the best Viernes matches all year, right? Because it went 17 minutes and it was it was 2 out of 3 falls. So Soberano's one of the 5 best wrestlers in Mexico, and if he doesn't wrestle big time singles matches, it's never going to come across like that big of a deal. They have so much, literally, you look at the Mexico team, which, by the way, Soberano wasn't on because he was in the United States, I think. But you look at that Mexico team from this past Friday, and it's like any combination of these wrestlers would have incredible singles matches against each other, except maybe Averno, who's not that bad. I'm like kind of ragging on him. He's like pretty good, but he's kind of old and small. But Angel de Oro, Dragon Rojo Jr., Dorada 2.0, Mystico, Templario, Ultimo Guerrero, Volador Jr. Like, just more. Give me more of that. Like, they're really good. So I don't know. Okay. Anything else you want to touch on, Jamie? Anything else worth talking about?
I feel like we've kind of touched on everything, like in terms of like the Puro and Lucha happenings from this week. The only thing that's like maybe worth touching on in terms of like what's coming up in the week, like there's nothing like major that stands out that we haven't already touched on. But I guess there's like Puro adjacent things going on in terms of what's going on this weekend with there's the Rev Pro show, which has got a lot of heavy New Japan involvement, and then obviously there's a little show happening in Wembley Stadium, which has got it's got Will Ospreay on there. It's got some big names.
I've heard of this. I've heard of Rev Pro. I'm familiar. Yeah. Let me look at this here card here. Let's check this out. Is this the 11-year anniversary show? It is from the. Wow, there are a million matches on this show. Damn, they really went all out with this one, boys. This is a really great card. It's a really great card. Mickey James is on this show. But yeah, I'll just start with even little stuff that should be good. Dan Maloney versus. Why is he Dan Maloney? It should be Drilla Maloney cage match.
He's not done anymore.
Come on. Drilla Maloney versus Leon Slater. Kosei Fujita versus JJ Gale. Alex Windsor versus Mickey James versus Hyun. What is this? David Finley and Gabe Kidd against El Fantasma and Shibata. Shibata's on this show.
Those Shibata and Gabe Kidd interactions should be amazing. I love
my God.
They're in there.
So good. A show that low-key might steal the show, or a match that low-key might steal the show that I really haven't seen anybody talk about, is this tag title match. Subculture, Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews against the Velocities. Have you seen the high-profile Velocities matches from the last couple of years, Jamie?
I feel like I can't remember too much. I feel like I've seen one.
They had a couple against Aussie Open that were like, wow, like really incredible wrestling matches. I love and one of the things I love about Rev Pro is they are not trying to like structure a card to make it, build up to the main event or anything. Rev Pro is completely willing. They're like British PWG at this point. They're like, just go out there, have the best match you possibly can in the time that we're giving you. Don't worry about it, and just go ahead and do it. These two teams together in a really hot environment should have a great match together. And that's not even mentioning, that's probably not even one of the 4 most important matches on the show in terms of like being high profile. Tomohiro Ishii versus Luke Jacobs. If you're not familiar with Luke Jacobs, he's like baby Walter. That's kind of my biggest comparison there. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricky Knight Jr. People forget, I think, already how incredible Ricky Knight Jr.'s series with Ospreay was last year, and then he got kind of injured, and it the wind got taken out of the sails there. There's also and I'll get to one other match in a second. The main event is Michael Oku versus Trent Seven. They did a big angle at the anniversary show a couple months ago where when Michael Oku had this big emotional win of the championship, Trent Seven shows up and steals it and just runs away with it. It's his title now. So Trent Seven's obviously being portrayed as like a crazy big heel. And then, oh yeah, we just happen to have Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, we'll just throw that on there.
You know, one of the best matches of the 21st century, maybe one of the best matches of all time. A rematch there on this card. This is an incredible card, one of the best indie cards in recent memory. Stoked about this one. I know I just went through the whole thing and I just talked for a long time, but what stands out to you, Jamie-san? Are you going to this?
I am unfortunately not going to the show, which is
no.
So, and it's literally just like a logistics thing. Like I booked the train tickets and the hotel and stuff like that, and then everything's gone. Like
yeah,
I know there's train strikes and stuff, and it's so fun. It would be a pain. But as the match announcements were rolling in, I was like kicking myself, like fuck man, I should have booked for the 26th. But no, I am not going to the show. But in terms of what stands out to me, there's a lot. Like you said, this one of the best looking indie cards I've seen in a long time. You know, we don't need to talk too much about the big match that stands out because we've seen how good Ospreay versus Shingo can be. But even with a show as stacked as All In the following day, this very much may be the match of the whole weekend if they go as crazy as we know they can do. So that should be terrific. I think Luke Jacobs versus Ishii could be like, just a real, super harsh fight with that. That should be immense. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like I mentioned, I think the tag with Gabe Kidd and Shibata should be real fun, especially with the dynamics there with kind of the LA Dojo lads. A lot of them jumping over to Bullet Club, so it should be interesting to see how that works out. And yeah, it should be super fun show with a lot of really exciting matches on.
Super excited for this one. And then yes, there is a little show called AEW All Out on the following night. That I'm thinking
that's the following week. All Out. It's All In.
But did I say All Out? My apologies. It's AEW All
in.
Technically the first AEW All In.
Yeah.
But yeah, AEW All In London. So yeah, the pro adjacent stuff here is Ospreay versus Jericho, of course, which I think is just going to be great. Like, I don't buy for a second that this isn't going to be a great match between these two. We have, let's see, Hikaru Shida is defending the AEW Women's title in a 4-way against Toni Storm, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Saraya. Fun one there. I mean, I actually think that could be pretty good. Sheeta's awesome. Bucks versus FTR, maybe. Hopefully. I assume so. I think we know so. If it wasn't.
Yeah. I think a few reports came out today that suggested that this match is going ahead. In fact, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan said it himself in the media call that this match is going ahead.
But then, I mean, I can't believe that people are like mad at this match. I'm just like, come on, y'all. And you're going to the show, and even you are like, oh man, about this one, this match here. I just don't get the fixation with wanting the Omega singles. Anyway, the match is the Golden Elite, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Hangman Adam Page against Bullet Club Gold, Jay White and Juice Robinson, and a Don Callis managed Konosuke Takeshita. If this match gets the time that it deserves, and I think it will, it's a stadium show. This has a chance to be one of the, you talk about the All Japan Elite match I talked about. This match has a chance to be one of the best multi-man matches like ever. I mean, you know what I mean? This is an incredible match, and it's one that I think when AEW started, this is like, there's all this uncertainty that's like, is it going to succeed? Is it going to work out? But everybody who's been kind of tired of WWE and wants to see the Puro influence keep expanding into the United States, they're like, just in the back of their mind, they're like, this is what this promotion could be. Like, this is what we can see. And holy shit, the interaction, like all the history of the Elite, all the history of Omega and Hangman. You have Ibushi and Jay White sharing a ring again. Yeah. That's a G1 final and Wrestle Kingdom main event. Juice and Jay were rivals in New Japan. Jay White and Kenny Omega. Jay White kicked Kenny Omega out of Bullet Club and then beat him for the US title a month later. I mean, Jay White also successfully defended that title in his first defense, maybe his second defense, against Hangman Page.
Yeah.
And then of course we get our first pay-per-view, maybe not our first pay-per-view interactions, our first like gimmick match pay-per-view interactions between Omega and Takeshita. And it's like, oh my god, Jamie, you're going to the show. Like,
yeah, it's so first I'll touch on the kind of the criticisms that have been lobbied at this, because I get it if you're going to the show and you want to see a Kenny Omega singles match. I would have liked to see a Kenny Omega singles match, but I understand the kind of level that this multi-man match could hit and the kind of story beats that they're going to hit here, and it's going to be something special regardless. And in terms of people who aren't going to the Wembley show and are complaining about it, you will get this in 7 days. Like you're going to get the singles match a week later at All Out by all accounts. That's when that's going to happen. So, but outside of that, we touched on all the history between them there, and even just outside of, just in terms of what they can do in the ring, the quality. The only guy in the match that you would say isn't classified in like the that top level, like best in the world category is in their peak is Juice. But even now, he's like more over than he's ever been in terms of like the stuff they've been able to do with him on Collision and stuff. And he now feels like a big enough deal to be in this spot alongside Jay and Takeshita. So it's going to be crazy. And I know the other like Puro adjacent matches we touched on as well. The Ospreay Jericho match. I don't buy for a second that that isn't going to be like tremendous. Ospreay wrestling in Wembley Stadium will do everything to make sure that match is.
He might
unreal.
die. It might be the end of Will Ospreay. Yeah,
he genuinely might die. And he, even then, I like Chris Jericho. He's had some performances that aren't like top tier, but even then, some of his like a lot of his pay-per-view performances in recent years and months, they're still really, really great. And when you put him in there against someone like Ospreay, there's like absolutely no chance that this match won't deliver. And the women's match as well. Obviously, Britt Baker and Saraya aren't like my favorite women's wrestlers by any means. I understand why they're in there. Britt Baker's kind of been positioned as one of the faces of the women's division for a while now, and Saraya, obviously, the biggest name in terms of like UK women's wrestlers that they could put on here. But I believe enough in Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm to get this match to a good enough level. And just being at Wembley Stadium, the crowd's going to be rocking for it. Every match is going to be up a notch just because of the atmosphere and how big this show is. So it's going to be unreal.
All right, before we get to BOTW, got a couple super chats here. $1.99 super chat from Ronnie D here. Them guys up. Love you, Jamie.
Oh, well, you see, this is because Murph isn't here, so
that makes sense.
But
he told Murph he loves him in person because that's where Murph is right now. Yeah. We also had Ben. Who are these people? $1.99. Omega not having a singles match is a war crime. I should have said it in Ben Shapiro voice. Omega not having a singles match is a war crime. It just is. I hate trans people. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Ben. I'm just going to assume that everybody who says this hates trans people. That's kind of going to be my assumption there based on that. Anyway, no, seriously, we appreciate the super chat. And then $6.99 shout out Natsu Boy, a DGL certified beast. It's true, a reigning beast of the week from last week.
Yeah.
And speaking of 6, we can count on you to give us the perfect transition into the beast of the week. I'm really crazy. Murph never texted me his, so he doesn't get one this week, unfortunately.
Well, I think I know who his one was.
Oh, damn it!
I don't want to
Liverpool garbage.
I feel bad now I feel bad now if we're not on the same wavelength and I nominate the wrong person. But I feel like I know who his beast of the week was in terms of.
Well, why don't you let us know? Because I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like Murph's beast of the week was Dominik Szoboszlai, who is the Hungarian footballer for Liverpool. He was the best player in the match of the weekend. That is what I assume his beast of the week was. If it isn't, I'm sorry. But also, I like Dominik Szoboszlai as beast of the week, so I'm saying that's what it was.
Why is this dude 22 and he looks 37?
Are you looking at him now, Dom?
Yeah, I just googled him.
Yeah,
What's that about?
he's unreal, man.
He's a handsome guy.
He's the captain of the Hungary national team at 22. That's pretty
At
impressive.
22, Hungary's got a good legacy. You check out Hungary in the 50s with their total football. See, I know a couple things. They keep it going. Anyway, that sounds boring. I was playing FIFA earlier, and I was just laughing at some of the celebrations my players were doing. One guy just like started a fight in his celebration. He was like getting in somebody's face, and the other guy celebrated by kicking the ball back into the net and then jumping into the goalie and doing a flip. I don't really know what that was. Saka did that, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But anyway, yeah. Really quickly, $1.99 super chat from 6-star again. DGL says trans rights. It's true. We do say this. We do say this. We believe that wholeheartedly. Okay. Since you took the time to talk about Dominic Schlabacher, I will get into my beast of the week, which I didn't plan on. But I think the person I'm gonna go with is somebody who's been kind of doing his own thing in his promotion this year. He hasn't been in like title scenes or anything, but I think he's been consistently one of the most interesting people and putting on some of the best matches anytime there's a big show from this promotion. It's one of my favorite wrestlers in this promotion, which is Dragon Gate. And the wrestler I'm going to go with is Yamato, who put on another really interesting singles match here against Fujita Hayato. I'm a huge Yamato fan, and I thought he just did a really nice job. Against him. I keep waiting for them to just finally fully de-emphasize him, and I'm going to be really sad when they do, because it was just 2 years ago he had an incredible Dreamgate reign and was great tag champs with Ben K and with BB Hulk and all that. And I'm not ready to give that up all yet. So yeah, this week I'm going to go with Yamato.
Yeah, my beast of the week is going to be someone that we touched on a little bit earlier when we got into the Stardom chat. My beast of the week is going to be Momoe Nakanishi. She grabbed the headlines coming out of that Legend show, and there were a lot of big names on there, from both the Legend side and just the regular Stardom crowd. But she was like she absolutely delivered in that big time main event. She looked like she could still do it now. I touched on wanting to see her in the high speed division a little bit, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. She's someone who, when she was around in kind of All Japan Women's, it was a little bit after their heyday, and I think if she was there in like prime, like the absolute peak of All Japan Women's Wrestling, and she was mixing up with some of the top ones there, the Toyotas and Akira Hokutos of their time. It would be interesting to see where she would rank in terms of like the all-time best women's wrestlers. So I think if she'd had the opportunity to mix it up with those, I think she'd be talked about a lot more than she is now. But she's still tremendous, and someone I'd definitely like to see pop up in Stardom a little bit more. But yeah, Momoe Nakanishi, my beast of the week.
Great pick. I wish I had remembered that the Sheamus Edge match happened, because I would have gone with Sheamus. But regardless,
Maeve isn't here. I'm down with giving him collective.
Well, what I was, I also don't think he's earned that. I think the collective beast of the week should be Speedball Mike Bailey, who wrestled two great singles matches on the same show, then came back a night later and was maybe the best wrestler in an all-star junior tag match. That to me is pretty beast. Like wrestling twice in the same night and making them both really great, I think is pretty damn impressive. So yeah, should we go with? Are you good with Speedball?
I'm absolutely good with Speedball.
All right, awesome. Okay, so Dominic Schliberkler, Yamato, Momoe Nakanishi, and Speedball Mike Bailey are our beasts of the week. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in on a quiet week. We still had pretty damn solid viewership throughout. I was pretty happy with that. And yeah, look forward next week. We'll know what the N1 finals are going to be. What else are we going to get into next week, Jamie? We'll be able to preview the start of the Destruction Tour, obviously keeping up with the Stardom 5-star. We will know who won the Royal Road. We'll know a lot of stuff. And there's also next, not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend, we'll preview a big DDT Ota Award show that is happening. Chris Brooks versus Shigehiro Irie is the main event of that one. And there's also got Takeshita and Sasaki against Ueno and Mao, which is a fun one. And then, of course, finally, we will be recapping the Rev Pro show and All In with our live report here from Jamie. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you all next week. Stay dumb.